Alright guys, we're here ready to do parts bag B, and today is Halloween. See the dedication I have for you guys? I'm not even out going out trick-or-treating. I'm working hard on this thing. So here we go. Alright guys, now that nonsense is over, I don't know who that guy was, but I'm pretty sure he's got the same dental plan as me. Anyway, we got a rear differential all assembled, put in, bearings. Got our bearings in our brass sleeve here, which the bearing just fell off, which is, let's see, let's go over those parts real quick. It is the MB8, and then I used bearings from our Fast Eddie kit instead of the brass ones they give you. And then to assemble this part here, you use a 3x15mm screw. And then I went ahead and did this too. Put the control arms on, lower control arms. Got our screws in, which are the 3x38mm screws. Big old brass balls. And we're going to go ahead and screw this stuff together real quick. And then we'll be moving on to step 11. Okay, so step 11. Got our counter shaft. And then we have a G2 gear and counter gear. It doesn't give me a part number for that, but it's counter gear. And then we have our bearing MA10 and MA11 we put on. And then we have our plastic spacer that goes right inside there, if you can see that. And then I'm just going to grease these gears up. Actually, they don't want me to grease them up yet. Okay, so then we're going to take this gear, the Spur Gear, and we're going to apply some bearings there. They want MB5 on both sides, which I can only assume are going to be the only ones that fit, right? Yeah, they're the same standard size Tamiya bearing, which I don't remember offhand what size that is, but push that back out. And it still doesn't want to cooperate. Get in your hole the right way. Or not. Here. There we go. On both sides. And then we will be assembling the rear damper stay, which is the notorious brass balls for the shocks, upper, and then our caster arms with the I don't know what you'd call these screws really. Like, I got a shank or something on there so that it moves freely. I'm going to be putting those on. I will be right back for that. Oops, my bad. I kind of skipped step 10. Actually, we're supposed to take this guy here, now that it's all assembled, and put it on the gearbox. I did jump to step 11. I apologize. My bad, guys. That guy just had me so flustered earlier. He scared me so bad. I must not be with my wits right now. Alright, so there are 4 screws that go in here. Hope you can see this. There are 4 screws here, which are the MA1s, and there was one dropping, which are the 3x10mm, which we've been using quite a bit. And then there are 3 screws here with washers that are 3mm washers that we put across in here, and the screws that we use for that are the 3x15mm. Okay, so they go in here. And then we'll do the rear damper stay that I already did once I realized I was supposed to do that first. So I'll screw these in, and then we'll be caught back up, and we'll be flipping over to the next page, which is page 8, and I believe step 12. Alright. Okay, step 12. Putting our assembly that we already put together in. Greasing liberally. That's grease all over this place here. And this is the ceramic grease that comes with the kit. Put that all over this gear here too. And as we get it in there and work it back and forth in the gears, it'll spread it around more. Alrighty then. That goes in here. Like so. And then we take our spur gear assembly and try not to knock the stuff off we already did, and that goes in like so. Okay, I'll put some grease on here. More down in here. Yeah, a big old blob. There we go. Didn't really mean to do that, but there we are. Alright. And then we're going to put on our cover, which is MA1, and we're going to be using two 3x10mm screws for that. So, goes on like so. Let's go in there like that. And when we were putting the spur gear in, I didn't mention the tube that they have that the gear actually rides on. It's a 5x16mm tube. It is hollow. Surprised they didn't make it solid. That goes in the gearbox as well. And they actually, like I said, the spur gear itself actually rides on that. I didn't mention putting that in, but we did. Alright. And then we'll be putting on our rear damper stay that we built and 3 days ago. No, just kidding. A couple minutes ago. And then we will be putting in, after that, we will be putting in our gear box joints, they call them, which are the out drive shafts, whatever your drive shafts will ride on, and then that's where it gets its power to the wheels. So we're putting this guy on, and let's see, facing this way here, no, oh, this way here, sorry. And then this goes on like so. Oh, wrong way. Sorry, guys. Making sure that our camera links aren't holding us up. And then we'll be using 4 3x10mm screws for that. And then we will be putting together the pulley system for the belt. Same as the front, same setup, same process. I'll skip past that to keep these videos short, but it's going to be the same thing. You're going to use a 3mm set screw, and to our aluminum pulley stopper, put in the pulleys on, same as we did before. They go right here, and same as the front, and we'll grease everything up, put it together, and we'll be moving on to step 14, which is putting together the rear uprights for our out drives or wheel axles, with the bearings and all that good stuff, drive shafts. So I'll see you in a minute when that's all done, and I'll give you part numbers for that. Alright, so rear damper stays on for the 4 screws, 3x10mm, as we talked about. The gearbox joints, long and short, out drive cups, whatever. And then also we have our C1 and C8 rear uprights installed. Drive shafts. Don't forget to put the little rubber O-rings. Actually, they want you to put them on this side with a little bit of grease. That keeps that drive shaft from flopping around too much. Our bearings, and we've attached them and screwed everything in. Okay. So now what we will be doing oh, I guess I could tell you real quick. The screws for this down here, for the lower control arms, or excuse me, not lower control arms, the uprights, are 3 by 22 millimeter. So we use those. We use those same Tamiya style screws with the shank, or whatever you want to call them. Those are 3 by 14 millimeter. And that's how we got these all together. So rear gearbox is coming along quite good. Next we're going to be moving, because we did 13, 14, 15 in this process. We're going to be moving on to step 16, which is going to be installing the motor, the dust cover, which is an MB10, and then there's an aluminum plate that goes in there. There's an MB11, two 3mm washers, MB3, and then MB1 screws, which is 3 by 12 millimeter screws to hold that cover and motor in. And then from there we'll be putting on the pinion, which they gave stock with the kit, a 14 tooth pinion, MB9. And then the set screw is a 3mm MA5, excuse me. And obviously, I think, and well, most of my kits you don't really have to set mesh, but on this one you do have to set the mesh correctly. So, interesting. Originally I was going to be using a Amazon brushless system that I had picked up, and thought about it further, and this is probably going to be more motor than we want for this car. It's a Hobby Fans waterproof ESC, 60 amp. I've never tried this before. I was going to try it on this and see how I liked it and do a review on this one. I'm going to put this in something else, and I will do a review on that at a later time. On this kit, we're going to run the stock silver can, and I have a leftover speed controller from a Tamiya kit that I did not use it in. Reason being is, again, you can't get these bodies. I don't want to tear it up too bad, so I figure if I keep it slow, I'll be less likely to tear it up, even though a stock silver can will you can still have a rollover or a crash. But I figure take the temptation away, as you know, I'm a full throttle guy. I like to hold the trigger all the way open. So I'm just gonna try to be safe about it and keep that temptation away from me. But rather than rambling on, let's get back building again. I will round up all the stuff for this, and I will see you probably, honestly, with the motor in. Alright guys, we got our motor in, pinion on. Little note for the new guys out there: leave your screws for your motor a little loose, so that when you're setting your pinion mesh, gear mesh, you have that wiggle room. Another little tip is make sure you line your gear up so the teeth are flush with one another. You don't want this pinion hanging off one way or the other. It'll wear one side of the gear more than the other, and probably will cause premature wear. Another thing I like to do, depending on the pitch of the tooth that you're using, I'll use a piece of receipt paper and put it in there to set my mesh so I'm not too tight. If you're too tight, it'll bind up on the gears, it'll put more strain on the motor and on the gears, and again, you will wear out your gears faster. It should move freely, but not so free that you have slop. You don't want the teeth slapping back and forth in between themselves. That's too loose, and you'll again tear up some gears. So make sure you got it nice and tight, where you wiggle that gear, it wiggles the other gear, but not so tight that you can't move this freely. It should freely move. You don't want any friction or restriction on there, because again, it'll overwork the motor, it'll heat it up, you'll wear out your gears sooner, and you won't reach those speeds that you want. So there's that. I'm going to put the cover on that we talked about earlier, and then again, I think we're moving on to shocks. I'll slap a few of those together, and then oh, I know, here he is again. Actually, our rear gearbox is complete, front gearbox is complete, and I said that we were going to move on the shocks several times. then it dawned on me, that's parts bag C. So we're gonna have to wait for the next video for that one. Don't want these getting so long that you can't watch them. Some of my videos, like the first one, it's quite long, almost 20 minutes long. I apologize. I try to get through these as quick as possible, but I do run my mouth. I like to talk. I hope you like to listen. So, I see we have some options for springs and shocks. I do have some extra springs around. We'll see what I end up running on this one. I do have several pairs from Tamiya that I bought for my XV01. I do believe I have some harder set. Being this is a road course car, I probably will run those if I haven't used them already. I got to figure out what spring rate is in the car now, and then we have to see if we have any piston options. If we have piston options, then I have to play with that. We'll go over all that next video, part C. Again, thanks for watching, and thanks for spending your time with me. Appreciate it.